This is Roger Stone for American Sovereign Bullion. Since 2020, the U.S. dollar has lost over 20% of its purchasing power. Meanwhile, gold continues to rise. Call 844-272-2428 or go to asbgold.com now to get your free gold and silver guide and learn how to protect your wealth with physical gold and silver delivered to your door or held in a gold IRA today. So go to asbgold.com now. Don't wait for the markets to drop. That's asbgold.com.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Wednesday, April 8th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Sunny day on the way, but it's not going to be very warm. The high 47. Tonight and overnight clear, low 36. And then Thursday sunshine, high 54. Now, if you're walking out the door with us right now, 33 and clear in East Hampton out on Long Island. It's 25 and clear in West Milford over in New Jersey. And it's 30 and clear right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
There's a pause in the war in Iran, but will it last? This is a big day for the alleged Gilgo Beach killer. A Long Beach mom is lucky to still have her baby. What was that in the sky over the tri-state? And a mom and son in New Jersey are dog nappers. All right, let's get into it at 5:01. The U.S. and Iran announcing a suspension of all attacks for 2 weeks, and Tehran has agreed to allow safe transit of vessels through the Strait of Hormuz. This is this deal that is on as they try to come up with an end to the war in Iran. Now, the president had promised to rain terror down on Iran if they did not open the Strait of Hormuz during a press conference.
Are you concerned that your threat to bomb power plants and bridges amount to
No, not at all. No, I'm not. I hope I don't have to do it. But again, I just said 47 years they've been negotiating with these people. They're great negotiators.
Why would that
and because they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. And if somebody that takes my place someday is weak and ineffective, which possibly that will happen because we had numerous presidents that were weak, ineffective, and afraid of Iran, we're never going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon.
All right, so it was about, 6 o'clock last night or so that they announced that there was a deal between Iran and the U.S. to put a pause in the war for at least 2 weeks. Iran right away, they claimed victory, said the upcoming talks in Pakistan and Islamabad on Friday do not mean an end to the war is guaranteed. You had the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying that he backs the decision, but the Lebanon war that they're in with Hezbollah, that will not end. Oil prices, they fell after the president announced the pause in the attacks with Brent crude at just below $95 a barrel. Now, overnight, while we were all sleeping, Iran was still lobbing missiles across the Persian Gulf despite agreeing to the ceasefire. We're told they ended about 3:30 Israel time or 3:30 Iran time that the last missiles were lobbed. Israel got some last licks in apparently in Iran, and those missiles were lobbed, and it stops at 3:30. We have not heard of any other missiles flying since then. So it seems this ceasefire is underway, even as there were some drone attacks in some of the Persian Gulf countries, including Kuwait, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. But apparently those all ended also as of 3:30 Middle Eastern time last night. Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu says again that he backs this ceasefire, but that does not extend to the war they're having with Hezbollah in Lebanon.
In a post Tuesday night, President Trump canceled his 8 p.m. Eastern deadline for Iran to make a deal or face a new attack and announced the ceasefire. It comes after Pakistan sent Trump a 10-point peace proposal from Iran that Trump called a workable basis on which to negotiate. While Israel reportedly will stop bombing Iran during this time, Netanyahu said in a statement the ceasefire does not apply to fighting between Israel and the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah. This despite Pakistan's prime minister saying the ceasefire proposal does extend to Lebanon, where hundreds of thousands have been displaced due to the fighting. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Back here, Democrats responding to this. Here's Congressman Ro Khanna. He wants President Trump removed from office.
He is threatening the entire destruction of a civilization. He is calling Iranians animals. He is showing a total disregard for the humanity of people in Iran, in Gaza, in Cuba.
Now, Arizona Democratic Congressman Yasmin Ansari, she says she's going to introduce articles of impeachment against Secretary of War Pete Hegseth today.
As the top official in the Department of War, Pete Hegseth has the duty to comply with the laws, lead by example for other military officials, and uphold his commitment to the Constitution above all else. He has done none of that.
Now, what will this pause in the war mean for oil prices here? 20% of the world's oil supply has been unable to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. The petrol market has been in turmoil since the war began. But after the president's ceasefire announcement last night, the oil markets responded immediately positively. The price of crude, it plunged from $117 a barrel earlier in the day on Tuesday to below 95 last night. Now, some drivers here in the city happy that the price may go down. It may take a while for it to trickle down to the gas pump. Found these people who were in New York City from California, and they were excited about paying $4 a gallon, which was the average price across the tri-state today, because they're paying a whole lot more in California.
It's wonderful here. It's cheaper than California where I live. It's all relative. Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy.
We're here on vacation, so $4 is actually very cheap.
Okay, so we've been seeing these rising prices from basic groceries to air travel. Several airlines announcing extra fees for checked luggage. Will those fees go away if this holds? We'll have to see. Even Amazon charging a 3.5% shipping surcharge for businesses whose products they deliver. If the ceasefire holds, if Iran does open the Strait of Hormuz, will we see immediate relief? And what we're told is there's a lag time, maybe a week, couple weeks until those prices come back down. Now over $4 a gallon.
Right now I'm paying $4.25 a gallon. It's kind of crazy. A couple months back it was like under $3, like $2.80.
Yeah. And then you have Iranian Americans. A lot of them say they're relieved that Washington and Tehran are dialing back the war today, at least for now, because they were worried about loved ones back in Iran who might have faced the thunder from the U.S.
We all want a resolution. We want the people in Iran to feel safe. We want us Americans here to feel safe. And it's a lot of question marks, to be honest with you.
Yeah, about 700,000, the largest Iranian population in America. We have a large one here in New York, but the largest one by far is in Southern California. About 700,000 Iranian Americans live there. WABC News Time, 5:08. Suspected Gilgo Beach serial killer Rex Heuermann expected to plead guilty today in the death of 8 women. Heuermann's alleged killing spree, it spans from 1993 through 2010. He has maintained his innocence. That'll change today. He was arrested, you'll remember, in July of 2023. The court session, it'll start in Suffolk County. This is probably about 11:30 this morning. The district attorney, Ray Tierney, out there posting on social media yesterday that there would be a major development in the Gilgo Beach homicide investigation. And ahead of today's pivotal court appearance, Benjamin Torres, he's the son of one of the victims, Valerie Mack. He filed a wrongful death lawsuit in the case. The lawsuit targets the Heuermann family, including his ex-wife and his daughter. Now, he's worried the family's going to profit off of telling the story of their dad, of their husband. And if he says they do, he should get portions of that money. Here's his lawyer.
Anybody who's ever lived in a home with a family, especially a tiny little home like that, is not going to tell me or anybody else that if those slaughters were taking place in the basement, that noises, smells, stains, and the like would not have been noticed.
Yeah, that suggestion saying that the family must have known what the dad, Rex Heuermann, was up to, what her husband was up to. But the attorney for Heuermann's daughter, he's outraged by this lawsuit.
Valerie Mack, who is here.
Valerie Mack, by the way, is the daughter.
Representing the son of Valerie Mack, was killed, or the homicide happened someplace in the spring or summer of 2000. Victoria Heuermann was 3 years old. How anybody could stretch a lawsuit, the factual pattern, to fit any kind of liability on a 3-year-old is beyond me. It's reckless, it's irresponsible, and it borders on malpractice.
All right, so big moment, big time out on Long Island. court case. The hearing this morning is supposed to be at about 11 or 11:30. 5:10, NASA says its focus now on Artemis 2 return back to Earth.
Earlier today at 1:23 p.m. Eastern Time, that's the milestone where we exited the lunar sphere of influence and we're back under the control of Earth's gravity.
That's the flight director, Rick Henfling, says Orion's crew conducted one of these planned engine burns. It lasted about 15 seconds yesterday. The 4 astronauts scheduled to splash down Friday off the coast of Southern California. NASA says the weather for the recovery is looking pretty favorable.
They will splash down Friday evening at approximately 8:07 p.m. Eastern Time, and the recovery weather is so far looking favorable. The USS John P. Murtha has left port and has started steaming out to the midway point for the recovery of Integrity and her crew later on Friday.
Yeah, that's the ship that'll meet the crew.
What surprised you when you're...
Oh, so I should tell you that there were some phone calls, some space calls between the Artemis and Mission Control. The crew shared a space-to-space call also with the crew aboard the International Space Station. They said, hey, we're up here. This is the long-distance phone calls, not so long distance.
What surprised you in your journey so far? I know that Weed really likes it up there.
It's really great to hear your voice up here. I can't tell you how fun this event is for us. I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as we are. I don't mean to give you such a short answer, but I can truly say everything.
Yeah, it was the first time any humans have seen the full far side of the moon. They were talking about this as well as they talked to the astronauts on the International Space Station.
We just appreciate you, and it's fun to be up in space with you at the same time.
I found myself noticing not only the beauty of the Earth, but how much blackness there was around it.
Yeah, there's definitely some excitement.
It just made it even more special. It truly emphasized how alike we are, how the same thing keeps every single person on planet Earth alive.
Sorry to interrupt you there. Christina Koch is one of the astronauts on Artemis. Splashed down again Friday off the Southern California coast. 5:12 down in Washington. Todd Blanche laying out his priorities as he assumes the role of acting Attorney General. Blanche says one of the DOJ's main areas of focus is health care fraud against the government. And he discussed one case in particular.
A criminal defendant was sentenced and the department obtained 2 additional guilty pleas in matters totaling over $500 million in health care and COVID fraud.
Blanche thanked outgoing AG Pam Bondi, who was let go by the president last week. The House committee looking into the Jeffrey Epstein investigation subpoenaed Bondi now to, well, actually, they subpoenaed her prior to the ousting. And Blanche would only say the status of the subpoena is up to the committee chair, who's James Comer. Reports say the president is still looking for someone to replace Bondi, that the acting attorney general, Todd Blanche, may not be the final person to have this job.
She's the former attorney general, and there's the subpoena out there. Is I think I'll leave to Chairman Comer and others to figure out. I don't have an answer to that. She is a great friend of mine, a great friend of the president's, and has been a great patriot to this country.
514 Anthropic says its latest artificial intelligence model is too powerful for public release.
The model, Claude Mythos, proved to be extremely good at finding critical vulnerabilities in operating systems and web browsers. The company said on Tuesday that it would instead use Mythos as part of a cybersecurity program with a handful of trusted partners, like Google and Microsoft. The AI was apparently able to breach virtual containment on its own, showing a dangerous potential for circumventing safeguards. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Florida's governor was hosting Texas's governor in Florida yesterday, and they were bragging about how great life is in their 2 states. We'll get to that story in just a moment, but at 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Happy Wednesday. Good morning, Justin Elliott.
Happy Wednesday. Good morning to you, Noam Laden. Start here on the diamond in Queens. Pinch hitter Ronnie Mauricio returned to the majors by lining a game-winning single in the 10th inning that gave the Mets a 4-3 victory over the Arizona Diamondbacks. Mauricio was recalled Monday from AAA Syracuse when slugger Juan Soto was placed on the injured list, and New York won its fourth straight game and improved to 2-2 in extra innings this season. Luke Weaver pitched a perfect 10th for the Mets, who played their third consecutive extra inning game at home. Mets starter Freddie Peralta gave up 3 runs in 4 2/3 innings of work. Up next for the Mets, the lefty David Peterson will start this afternoon's middle game of this 3-game series. First pitch is scheduled for 4:10 p.m. In the Bronx, Ahmed Rosario homered twice, including a go-ahead 3-run drive in the 8th inning that rallied the Yankees over the Athletics 5-3. New York trailed 3-1 entering the 8th and had been 0 for 12 with runners on base before their comeback. Rosario also homered in the 2nd on a 43-degree night in the Bronx. He made his 3rd start this season and batted 7th in place of struggling Ryan McMahon, who came in 2 for 23. Fernando Cruz struck out Lawrence Butler with 2 on to end the 8th, and David Bednar pitched a perfect 9th for his 5th save. Starter Cam Schlittler allowed his first 3 runs of the season, giving up 5 hits in 5 innings with 7 strikeouts and no walks. Up next for the Yankees, Will Warren will get the start in tonight's middle game of this 3-game set. First pitch from the Bronx is scheduled for 7:05 p.m. On the hardwood in Brooklyn, Nets beat the Bucks 96-90, and on the ice in New Jersey, the Devils, they fell to the Flyers 5-1. Rangers, they'll return to the ice tonight at home at the Garden. They'll welcome in the Buffalo Sabres for a 7 p.m. puck drop. That is your Sports Noam, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:17. Florida's governor hosting Texas's governor and business leaders in Miami yesterday to tout what they say is economic growth because of a surge in companies moving to the so-called boom belt. Ron DeSantis says people are leaving states like New York and California and coming to 11 southeastern states.
Florida has had more adjusted gross income move into our state since I've been governor than has ever moved into any state in the history of the United States.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott says it's not just Florida. More businesses are moving their headquarters to boom belt states than any other region. He credits the states for competitive taxes, putting capital formation at the center of economic policy.
More businesses are moving their headquarters to boom belt states than any other region.
We're proud of what's going on throughout our entire region of the country, and I know that there's been a lot of very healthy competition between states like Florida, Tennessee, Texas, Georgia, some of these.
Yeah, and Securities and Exchange Commission, the chair, Paul Atkins, he says boom belt states are succeeding big time.
The 11 states that span the Southeast are outpacing every other American quadrant across the measures that matter most. Among them, gross domestic product, population growth, job creation, foreign investment, and private market activity.
5:19, let's stay in Florida for a moment. We're learning more of this tragic story of a dad who tried to save his kids from a rip current in Florida. Family and friends mourning the death of this father of 3 who drowned last week while trying to save his 2 children from a rip current during a family vacation. His wife speaking out about this for the first time yesterday.
He was like my real life hero, like just as he was for everybody else. So of course, like that's the way that he dies.
Emily Jennings says her family were swimming at Juno Beach last Wednesday when her husband Ryan saw their son and daughter struggling in the surf. He dove in, threw their son, and told them to swim to shore, then held his daughter above his head and told her to float on her back if anything happened to him. Well, other beachgoers managed to pull all the kids in, but he died a short time later. Here's more from his wife.
He was holding up Charlie, so he was ingesting a ton of water, and Charlie said the last thing he said was to make sure she floated on her back if anything happened.
Yeah, she wanted everybody to know her husband is a hero. He sure is. 5:20, Texas has become the national hub for testing driverless big rigs, those big trucks. John Esperanza, who heads the Texas Trucking Association, says there's a good reason why they're testing them out in Texas.
Well, you've got a great business environment when it comes to companies that want to thrive in our state.
He says there's also plenty of roads to test on where there's no snow or ice, and he says in the end this is all good news for drivers everywhere.
You've got excellent roadway, and the weather is very conducive for testing. You've seen multiple companies grow in the space of autonomous trucking.
Yeah, so he says the autonomous trucks are safer than human drivers who need to sleep and food to stay on track every day. 521, in his first press conference since President Trump endorsed him for California governor, Steve Hilton says he's honored and hopes that it signals an option for a change for California's come November.
It's a moment that we can actually step up what's already been happening in the governor's race, which is a consolidation on the Republican side, because I think it's incredibly important that Californians have a choice.
Hilton says he's running to make the state more Cal-affordable. He should be smacked around for that statement. But with no state income tax for those earning $100,000, that's one of his proposals. No Medi-Cal for undocumented immigrants. Hilton says he'll focus on increasing oil production to lower gas prices. California has some of the highest gas prices in the nation. While we're out in California, former reality TV star and candidate for mayor of Los Angeles, Spencer Pratt, says he's disgusted with an LA Times hit piece that implies he may not be eligible to run for mayor. The article questioned Pratt's standing, noting that he moved to Santa Barbara County following the loss of his home in the Palisades fire.
Anybody with a functioning brain could have figured out in 10 seconds that I am 100% eligible to run for mayor after Mayor Karen Bass let my house burn down.
Pratt says he kept his voter registration in Los Angeles, meaning he's always been eligible to run for mayor, and he wants an apology from the LA Times.
I have been actively posting and talking about for 15 months how my house was burned down and we had to get my kids in a new school, and we got them in a school in Santa Barbara. This is not a secret.
He says there's no way anybody's going to chase him from the race. 522, let's go overseas where Vice President J.D. Vance, he's in Hungary today to show support for Prime Minister Viktor Orban ahead of that country's election. During an appearance at a rally, Vance got President Trump on the phone so the president could speak to those attendees.
Boy, that sounds like a big crowd, and that sounds like my kind of people.
The president told the crowd he's a big fan of Orban, saying that he's kept Hungary good and has kept it from being invaded.
He kept your country good, and you don't have problems with all of the problems that so many other countries have because they let their countries be invaded. And you don't have that problem because of Viktor Orban. He's kept Hungarian people in your country. And he's done a fantastic job. And let me tell you, I like him a lot, but if I didn't think he did a good job, I wouldn't be making a call like this. I'm a big fan of Victor. I'm with him all the way. The United States is with him all the way. And it's a real honor to talk to you. You're really incredible people with great enthusiasm and brilliance, because you're brilliant people.
524, let's go down to Texas, where a former FedEx driver pled guilty yesterday to killing a 7-year-old girl after delivering a Christmas gift to her Texas home, where he told authorities he accidentally hit the girl with his van and then strangled her in a fit of panic afterwards. It was the judge in the case after he pled guilty.
There will no longer be a first phase of the trial where you will be determining whether or not guilt has been proved beyond a reasonable doubt.
So Tanner Horner now faces either the death penalty or life in prison in the 2022 killing of Athena Strand, whose body was found 2 days after she was reported missing in the small rural town of Paradise. The Texas State Board of Education considering sweeping changes that would put Bible passages on a new required reading list. Backers like San Antonio State Representative Mark Desario says it would educate kids on the roots of Western culture.
Cultivate in students an informed American patriot.
The proposed list includes classes like A Wrinkle in Time and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech, along with the story of David and Goliath from the Old Testament.
We cannot expect our students to have a reasoned appreciation for a republic they are no longer taught to understand.
Final vote on this is expected come the summer. Set out to Minneapolis, where they're considering a controversial ordinance that would legalize adult bathhouses and sex venues. There is a ban on both both of those types of businesses that's been in place for almost 40 years. The council has instructed city staff now to research ordinances that would allow adult bathhouses and sex venues involving consenting adults. Another strange one, this one out of Washington State. The Ording City Council there will create new rules for Zoom meetings after a naked person walked behind a council member. This is very COVID-like.
Councilor Jeffrey Sproul had the background blurred, but the person was still visible. The video was blurred further and updated on the council's website. Mayor Scott Drennan told the News Tribune that Sproul was on a cruise ship when the incident happened. City Council is investigating the incident and will implement new rules for future meetings. I'm Brad Ford.
Let's bring it back here into New York, where CBS announcing the show that will take over Stephen Colbert's The Late Show time slot.
Byron Allen's Comics Unleashed is officially moving into the 11:35 p.m. Eastern time slot beginning May 22nd, and the network said it would air back-to-back half-hour episodes on weekdays. The Allen Media Group CEO had previously been airing Comics Unleashed on CBS in the 12:37 p.m. spot, but it'll now be replaced with Allen's other show, Funny You Should Ask, after Colbert's exit. Allen addressed the change in a statement and said, "I truly appreciate CBS's confidence in me." I'm Chris Coraggio.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Wednesday, April 8th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. A sunny day on the way, but it's not going to get very warm. The high just 47. Tonight and overnight, clear, low 36, and then Thursday better, sunshine, high 54. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. Just 33 and clear in East Hampton out on Long Island, just 25 and clear in West Milford over in New Jersey, and it's 30 and clear right outside our Midtown studio. 5:39. The accused Gilgo Beach serial killer expected to plead guilty this morning to the murders of 8 women.
Rex Heuermann, a Massapequa man, is charged in the deaths of 7 women during a 17-year killing spree on Long Island. But there are multiple reports now that the 62-year-old Manhattan architect will admit to murdering an 8th victim during his plea hearing. She's Karen Vergata, a Manhattan mother whose body parts were found 10 years apart west of Gilgo Beach and on Fire Island. I'm Sarah Lee Kessler.
Let's stay out on Long Island. A woman arrested in Long Beach after cops say she attempted to kidnap a 14-month-old child from a stroller. This happened on West Penn Street. They allege that Heather Mangoni approached this child while the toddler was being pushed in a stroller by her great-grandfather. She yelled at the great-grandfather, "This is my child. I have a license," before trying to grab the child out of the stroller. Now, the great-grandfather, he intervened. He wrestled this woman to the ground. She bit him. She scratched him, but he was able to hold on to the stroller and the kid. Well, here's the kid's mom, and she's so thankful that her great-grandfather fought back and worried about this woman, this wacky woman walking the streets of Long Beach. I mean, they caught her, but she's hoping this isn't some weird trend going on.
You know, we do have to be more vigilant. You know, I've never thought about that ever happening in Long Beach. You know, this feels like a very safe neighborhood. I know people leave their doors open. I pray this is just, this one person, this one incident.
Yeah, Magone's been charged with kidnapping, endangering the welfare of a child. She's scheduled to appear in court a little bit later this morning. And let's stay out on Long Island for one more story. It's a little happier. A 73-year-old woman alive today thanks to some passing drivers. Her car caught fire, Sunrise Highway in Bohemia yesterday. And normally people, they just tend to drive by this thing, but that wasn't the case here. This was about 11:30 yesterday morning. So Santino Cirillo, he was driving by. He saw this car on fire, and he said, I think there's somebody still in the car. And he ran over and pulled this woman out of the car. She's okay. He was taken to the hospital for smoke inhalation. They're saying he's a hero, but he says no big deal. He says this is what people do in situations like this.
You just react. You see someone in need, and you do it. I think that everybody has that in them. to do it. It was unbelievable, and I'm just glad it turned out the way it turned out.
Yeah, nice job done by Santino there. 5:42. Let's go over to Yonkers and just a strange story. Police investigating after a portable toilet exploded in a park in Yonkers. This was about 8:30 at night on Monday. There was a couple of explosions. The FBI, all kinds of agencies raced in to see what was going on. The entire perimeter of this park where this outhouse was, Bragano Park, cordoned off as the authorities did an investigation. The focus was this blue porta potty, and they thought maybe someone had put a bomb inside this. Here were some neighbors.
It sounded like a bomb, basically. It was loud.
And it sounded the first time just like a firecracker or whatever. It got more intense. We did call and they responded, but by the time they respond, nobody's there. And then last night it sounded like a bomb. I was sitting in the living room and I went, oh my God, the whole floor shook.
Yeah, neighbors say there have been 4 or 5 similar explosions over the last few weeks, usually about the same time at night, about 8:20 at night. Hear more from them.
I am pretty concerned, especially when you see the FBI, but hopefully they get to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
You know, you worry about it. The world today is a little strange.
Now, it could be a prank. We just don't know. They haven't told us a whole lot. They think someone had put fireworks inside this porta potty, but that doesn't explain all those other explosions. I reached out for more information from police up in Yonkers and have not heard back from them. 5:44. Let's bring it here into the city, and a first for Mayor Mamdani. He's appointed what he's calling a mom and pop czar. That's the title for the woman he selected to help the Big Apple's small businesses cut through government bureaucracy. Here he was talking about this new plan he has yesterday.
For that small business that is just getting its feet off the ground, we want them to know that there is a czar whose job it is to help cut through that red tape.
Now, that czar that he picked is a businesswoman from Brooklyn. Her name is Delia Awusi. She has done her own family businesses over the years, and the way this would work is the city would help businesses doing $1 to $2 million in businesses a year cut through the bureaucracy of city government, which sometimes gets in the way. Here's a Bronx business owner.
It's a lot of running around or sending you to a different department or a different department from there, and it's just you don't get the help that you really need to be able to make a business thrive here.
Now, this czar will focus on helping street vendors, bodegas, nail salons, coffee shops, home-based child care centers get permits and inspections faster because it takes so long now. Here's somebody from the Bronx Chamber of Commerce who's hoping this is really going to happen because she says she's heard this kind of story before.
Our concern as a business, as a chamber, when we're working with city is how much teeth will these new appointments have, right? Because if they don't, it's almost like a sounding board, and we have plenty of those.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. All right, coming up in a moment, we'll head over to Clifton, New Jersey, where it seems a mom and her young child are dog napping. We'll get into that story in just a moment. But first, 5:45, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ellick.
Thank you, Noah Maladen. Start on the diamond in Queens, where pinch hitter Ronnie Mauricio returned to the majors by lining a game-winning single in the 10th inning that gave the Mets a 4-3 victory over the Arizona Diamondbacks. Mauricio was recalled Monday from AAA Syracuse when slugger Juan Soto was placed on the IL, and New York won its 4th straight game and improved to 2-2 in extra innings this season. Luke Weaver pitched a perfect 10th for the Mets, who played their 3rd consecutive extra inning game at home. Mets starter Freddie Peralta gave up 3 runs in 4 2/3 innings of work. Up next for the Mets, the lefty David Peterson will start this afternoon's middle game of this 3-game series. First pitch is scheduled for 4:10 p.m. In the Bronx, Ahmed Rosario homered twice, including a go-ahead 3-run drive in the 8th inning that rallied the Yankees over the Athletics 5-3. New York trailed 3-1 entering the 8th and had been 0 for 12 with runners on base before their comeback. Rosario also homered in the 2nd on a 43-degree night in the Bronx. Felt like 33. He made his 3rd start this season and batted 7th in place of the struggling Ryan McMahon. Rosario, that is. McMahon entered yesterday's contest 2 for 23 on the season. Fernando Cruz struck out Lawrence Butler with 2 on to end the 8th. David Bednar pitched a perfect 9th for his 5th save. Starter Cam Schlittler allowed his first 3 runs of the season, giving up 5 hits in 5 innings with 7 strikeouts and no no walks. Up next for the Yankees, Will Warren will get the start in tonight's middle game of this 3-game set. First pitch from the Bronx is scheduled for 7:05. Out to the hardwood in Brooklyn, the Nets beat the Bucks 96-90, and on the ice in New Jersey, the Devils, they got walloped by the Flyers 5-1. Rangers are back on the ice tonight at the Garden at 7 p.m. They'll welcome in the Buffalo Sabres. That is your Sports Noam, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 5:48. Mayor Mamdani does not think he'll meet next year's deadline to close the Rikers Island jail complex. He says the deadline is practically impossible to fulfill, but he blames previous administrations for that.
Because we've seen years of a flouting of not just recommendations, but requirements, frankly. It is going to take us quite a bit of time.
City Council voted back in 2019 to close the jail complex in favor of borough-based jails by August 2027. He says, no way we're going to meet that. Meanwhile, the mayor has chosen a senior Biden administration official to lead the city's agency to protect kids.
Rebecca James Gaston most recently served in the Department of Health and Human Services as commissioner for the Administration on Children, Youth, and Families. She also oversaw child welfare programs in Oregon and in Maryland, where the number of children in foster care fell by 50% under her leadership. Mamdani's office says that kind of vision is needed now. City data shows that every year, about 3,000 children are in situations dangerous enough that they are placed in foster care. In New York, I'm Daria Albinger.
There's a growing backlash over a new fence that obstructs our view of the Statue of Liberty. People who live in Battery Park City claim the 7-foot wire fence popped up practically overnight last month without warning, blocking their view of Lady Liberty without jumping onto a park bench to see over the fence.
Tear down this fence and bring it back to the public. You should not have to pay to have a view that is unobstructed.
Now, U.S. Park Police, who put up the fence, erected it, they say, to bolster security during shoreline construction. But Congressman Dan Goldman says there's got to be a better way to deal with this fence, because they say for tourists and New Yorkers alike, the view of Lady Liberty obstructed.
Balance the necessary security with the fair use and beauty of this area.
Yeah, but for now, U.S. Park Police say that fence is going to stay. Did you see this bright fireball that streaked across the sky over New Jersey, several other surrounding states yesterday afternoon?
Anyone who looked up in the sky saw it was not a bird or a plane, not Superman either, but a meteor streaking across New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, Connecticut. The American Meteor Society says they got almost 200 reports of people seeing it throughout the region around 2:30ish Tuesday afternoon. Witnesses reported from 13 of the Garden State's 21 counties that they saw a bright ball of light zipping across the sky for several seconds, while some reported hearing something like thunder as it passed. I'm Levon Putney.
New Jersey's Department of Environmental Protection urging residents to keep their guards up during the height of wildfire season. It was bad last year. New Jersey DEP Fire Chief Bill Donnelly says crews are at the ready, especially with such little rain currently forecasted in the coming weeks.
We are expecting to be busy. I also wanted to make a note that isn't always the large major wildfires that end up causing the most damage. Believe it or not, more times than not, it's a smaller fire that ends up impacting structures or shutting down roads.
Yeah, so Donnelly says fire conditions can change pretty quickly. He referenced last year's Jones fire. That one scorched about 15,000 acres of land. It took about 20 days to contain.
Use caution with fire. Clean your gutters, maintain defensible space around your home, and ensure driveways are accessible for emergency vehicles. We won't know till it's over. Right now, the weather's conducive to wildfires. The potential is certainly there.
Yeah, so he's telling people just to watch out for that kind of thing. Well, we're in New Jersey. Freehold, New Jersey, holding a blue mass on Tuesday.
In Freehold, New Jersey, police, elected officials, family members, and others all gathered to honor the Garden State's police officers who have died in the line of duty, as well as current officers who routinely put their lives on the line to keep New Jersey's communities safe. The 24th annual Blue Mass, Bishop David O'Connell was joined by bagpipers and priests from all around New Jersey to honor officers. James Flippin for 77 WABC News.
Remember yesterday we told you about this jerk that was going around throwing bricks at the windshields of cars in New Jersey? And it was, I don't know, we told you it was 19 cars. Now police in a number of towns telling us, no, this same guy threw bricks and rocks through the windshields of 80 cars in this wild vandalism spree across Middlesex and Union counties. Vehicles in Cranford, Linden, Rahway had their windows smashed by bricks or these huge pavers. Police working together to find this man who was seen on surveillance video. He's actually sitting in his car and throwing the bricks from inside his car onto these windshields. Now, there's no suggestion that he knows any of the people that he's causing the vandalism against. Some of that vandalism taking place in a 55-plus community in Rahway. Here's one of the women who now has a bill to pay to fix her windshield.
I got to pay, $378?
That's a lot.
And that's a lot of money that I didn't have.
Yeah.
So why would you come to seniors building? We don't have that kind of money.
Yes, so she was telling her neighbor about that story, and then her neighbor went to look over at her car, and her windshield had been smashed by this jerk as well.
It made me angry. I was angry about it, you know, because it's not right. I mean, why? What's the purpose of it?
Exactly.
You know, making people spend money that they don't have.
It's just strange, and eventually they'll catch up with this creep. Police shared surveillance images of a man in a dark gray Nissan Rogue, which they say he drove around carrying these massive gray stone pavers, tossing them onto random cars. Here's police in Cranford who say, they have some leads, and hopefully they'll be able to find him.
It's a violent act, and while property was damaged, it's still an act of violence to that property, and that's unacceptable. And people should rest their heads on their pillow every night, not worrying about their neighborhood being disturbed by someone who wanted to create harm.
Exactly. And we'll end in New Jersey with just an odd story in Clifton, New Jersey, where they're looking for a woman and her young child who were caught on a doorbell camera taking a family's dog from the owner's yard. So Ring video shows this young boy carrying a blanket and trying to corral a small dog named Rocky. This is an 8-pound Yorkshire Terrier. And you can see in this video that the dog's running away from this kid who was trying to cover him with a blanket. Then his mother gets out of a car and she helps grab this dog that's clearly not theirs. They know it's not theirs. It's got a tag on it. Well, here's the owner of the dog who couldn't figure out what happened to his pooch and went to the Ring camera to see that it was a mom and her young boy who had stolen the dog.
When I watched the video, I was like, I cannot believe this is happening. I couldn't believe it. He wasn't a stray. He had a harness on, so it's not like he didn't have a collar or anything. So I knew they saw it. It looked like the kid wanted the dog.
Yeah, so Rocky, who's the dog's name, said that the owner of Rocky said that the dog had gotten out accidentally, but was still in the yard and has a tag, and clearly these people knew it wasn't theirs. And he said really what was shocking was to see a kid grab the dog, but then to see his mother help him nab this dog. And they still haven't found either of this mom or her son. We're assuming that it's the mom and son.
My kids are just torn up over it. I am. I mean, he's loved. He's got a loving place. I mean, thank you for taking care of him. But I mean, if you can give him back, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so authorities have released a photo of what appears to be a Honda Pilot, which was used in this dog napping. The video, of course, raises a whole bunch of questions about how an adult would influence a child to grab a dog. They'll eventually catch up with these two, and hopefully that dog will be returned.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?
Sacco and Feliz, New York and New Jersey's premier attorneys at law. Their team brings decades of experience across a wide range of practice areas. Whatever life brings, they're your legal team. From everyday matters to complex cases, they've got you covered. With the experience you need and the results you want. Because when life gets complicated, they make it simple. SaccoFeliz.com. SACCOFILLAS.com. 2 C's, 2 L's.